relief for Zee Enterprises amid the ongoing NCLT proceedings. The Singapore Arbitration Centre has now denied Sony Group's relief or the plea to get an emergency relief from the NCLT proceedings, suggesting, Kartik, that NCLT is the right forum.
True.
And Zee can now continue to push Sony to come back on the track for that $10 million.
I think there is definitely a glimmer of hope here for the Zee Group, definitely not as much for Sony, because Sony, I think, was betting on the Singapore International Arbitration Court Tribunal to actually come to its rescue. Sony, in its statement, is still saying that it will continue to pursue the tribunal at the International Tribunal at Singapore. At the same time, is going to contest NCLT as well. But the NCLT hearing for Zee-Sony is now likely to be the deciding factor in how the Zee-Sony saga unfolds here on. Zee, on its part, has been very clear. It wants to force Sony back on the table. It wants to push through with the merger one way or another. I think Zee, of course, has a lot more at stake, has a lot more to lose as compared to Sony. Sony definitely not keen to go through with the merger. Sony is also slapping, termination fees, etc., to the tune of $90 million on Zee. Zee is contesting that as well. So I think this saga also, fortunately or unfortunately, is far from over. In all likelihood, one was assuming that the deal would have gone through. 2 years of time invested by Sony and Zee, both, to be fair, into making this merger happen. Deadline after deadline got missed, got delayed, but then I think Sony was not blindfolded. Sony knew all this while what were the troubles that Zee Group was facing. Zee Group now coming out and saying that it has done nothing wrong. In fact, all the obligations of the merger that had to be met have been met by Zee Group, barring, of course, the final date of 21st of Jan, which was already extended from the 21st of December. And Zee could not go through with all its obligations, but was just seeking another extension of date. Sony deciding to walk out. Obviously, this is a large opportunity for both Sony and Zee to come together. Sony deciding to walk out, for its own reasons. But now Zee definitely seems to be having a bit of an upper hand in this ongoing negotiation. The fact that SIAC
that is if NCLT rules in favor
of
Zee.
But at least we know for a fact that it is NCLT which is going to decide and not the Singapore International Arbitration Tribunal. So that gives some comfort to Zee because that is what Zee wanted. It is home ground and that is what Zee wanted. Zee wanted NCLT to come in and Zee wanted to push the case in NCLT, and the International Tribunal may not have seen the the pain of the Indian media industry perhaps as closely as NCLT is likely to. So that is what Zee is betting on.
So I think the big question is, can NCLT or will NCLT at this point in time force Sony to come back on the table as far as deal is concerned? That is what it's going to be ruling on.
That is what it will rule on, and I think we cannot prejudge what the judges at NCLT are going to come out with. But this is what Sony wanted. This is what Zee wanted. This is what Sony did not want. Zee has got what it wanted, at least temporarily, for now. And Sony not happy, but will have to play ball.
Absolutely. Sony will have to play ball, and Sony will have to face the NCLT as far as the deal and the mega merger which got derailed with Zee. Whether NCLT will rule in favor of one or the other, we don't know, but it would be interesting to watch out for those proceedings.